Hi, this is Pranay Sharma and I'm back with another video of R Basics. Today we are going to see loops. Now, loops are nothing more than automating a multiple step process by organizing sequences of action so that we do not do those actions again and again and again. Broadly speaking, there are two types of loops in modern programming languages. Now, some loops execute for a prescribed number of times as controlled by a counter or some kind of an index. Now, each time they increment those particular cycle one by one. So we are going to see that. Those types of loops are called for loops. On the other hand, some loops are based on the onset and verification of a logical condition. The condition is tested at the start or the end of the loop construct. These variants belong to while or repeat family of loops. Now we are going to see both kinds of loops. First, we are going to see what for loop looks like. As we write for, you will find that we have a snippet for, and if you press enter, it will open a round bracket as well as a curly bracket. Now in round bracket, we give a variable in vector. As we talked about, for loop runs for a specific number of times controlled by a counter. Now this variable is that counter. So usually we use I as our variable. Now in vector, so we have to specify how many times this loop to run. So we write a vector here. So we say I. In a vector, I will just write it as, let's say 1:10. So I am going to run this loop for 10 times. And inside a curly bracket, all we do is we write our statement for which it has to be run for that many times. Let's say I want 0. Okay. Or let's say print 0. Okay. If I press if I select everything and press Ctrl Enter, you will see that 10 times we got 0. Okay. Now similarly, what it did was it took I as my first value 1 and then went inside the loop and said print 0. So we got 0. Then took I as 2 and then again went inside the loop, print 0, and so on. Now here I did not use this variable I. We can definitely use this variable I as well. I could have just said print I. If I now run this loop, you will see every single time it prints I, and you can clearly see that I was incrementing from 1 to 10 each time. Usually we use this increment and then we do something inside our statement. For that, what we can use is not necessarily that our vector should always start from a given value and have a difference of 1. We can write a sequence or we can write a vector and we can use that here directly. So let's say X is a sequence . Let's say X is a sequence and that sequence starts from, let's say 0 and goes till 5, and the difference is 0.5. You can see we have 11 values. So the number of times our for loop will run would be 11 if I take the vector here as X. If I just print it and press Ctrl Enter, you will see 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5 and so on. Otherwise, I can write it in some kind of, let's say I am making another vector Y such that, let's say the ith value of Y, let's say that my Y is a vector of my old Y, comma, the new value added to it as I. Okay. Or let's say I into 5. Now here, because I am going to use y as addition of old y plus some value, I'll have to define y here. So I'll define y as a null value. So now my y has been defined, and my new y every single time the for loop runs would be my old y, comma, this new value, that would be I into 5. Let's run this. And here you can see I have a new variable y that would be nothing but 1 is to 11 values with now 0, 2.5, 5, 7.5 and so on. Now for doing this, in R we don't actually need a loop, especially when we are talking about a vector. I can directly say my y will be equal to x into 5. It will actually give me the same answer. Let's say I will write my z is giving me x into 5. If I run this, you can see we got x and y exactly the same values. So usually we are not writing one single value here. We are doing some kind of a procedure for which we need to do that procedure again and again and again. So that is why we use our loops. Now let's just clear everything and take an example. Let's take an example where we say count the number of even values in a sequence. Let's take a vector and say seq, where I'll just write random values. I'm randomly just writing values. I am not even seeing how many values am I writing. Okay, so here let's say if we want to count how many values are even. So for each value we'll have to check whether they are even or not. So for that we'll use our for loop. So we'll have for, and we'll say I, which is in this vector seq, and now we'll check. So we'll say if we know how to check whether it is even or not, we'll say round value of I divided by 2, 0, that means 0 decimal points, if that is equal to our I by 2, then it must be an even number. Now, we don't have to do anything for odd, so I will not use else, I will just use my even value. So here I will say that I will make a particular vector, or not a vector, I just want a particular value that would be one more than the previous value. I'll call it as counter. So I'll say counter must be equal to counter plus 1. As soon as I introduce another variable, I should define it before starting a loop. This is true for any loop. So I'll say counter, I can start my counter as 0. So I'll say counter is 0. Now add 1 to the counter if you find that our value of I is an even value. So let's run this. Now first of all, we made a sequence, and it takes and we have defined our counter. Then we started our for loop where I was first taken as 2. Then it checked whether I is even. It was even, so it went to the counter and said my old counter plus 1 would be my new value. So then counter became 1. Similarly for 8 and 6, so our counter was 3. Then as soon as it went to 9, it checked whether 9 is even or not. Of course it was not even, so it skipped this term and went back to our loop. So I'll just count how many even numbers we had. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So we had now 9 values that were even. So we got our counter as 9. So this is how we use our loop. So rather than counting them, rather than checking whether each of these values were odd or even separately, we made a loop so that we don't have to repeat the action again and again. Let's take another example where we'll check how many values are divisible by 7 between 1000 and 10,000. So for that, I'll make my variable x, that would be nothing but a sequence between 1000 and 10,000, and I want them to change by 1. You can skip mentioning that because that is our default value. I'll press Ctrl Enter to check, and we are getting correct values. Now to check whether it is divisible by our 7 or not, we'll have very similar kind of for value. So what I'll do is I'll just copy all of this and I'll paste here. Now instead of counter, I can just say number, does not matter. So I'll just write n is equal to 0, where my counter here would be n, which will take the value from n plus 1. So I'm counting how many values am I getting. Now instead of with that, I'll do one more thing, that I'll make another sequence that gives me those values. So I'll just write another variable here y. Now whenever I'm writing a vector, I prefer writing a null value, which before I write any loops for it, so that it does not start with some value. If I write here 0, I'll show you. If I start with y is equal to 0 and then make y into a vector here inside, what happens is it will take first value of my vector as 0. So therefore I would want null. I would want the vector to be null. So y is null value. We have to predefine before we use it. So first of all, we would want to check whether it is divisible by 7 or not. So for I in a sequence, that is our x in this case, so I am taking x, then my I should be divisible by 7. So I will divide by 7 and round it off to 0 decimal points and check whether it is same as I by 7 or not. If there is even 1 decimal point, it knows that it is not divisible by 7. So now here I'll make another vector y that will be equal to nothing but all the values. So if I is divisible by 7, I would want it to be a vector of my old values, comma, then new I. This is a way where we keep on changing our vector. So if I was divisible by 7, then only it will add that value I to my vector y. So let's just check it. Press Ctrl Enter. And we have a sequence y. First value is 1001. Maybe it's divisible. Then you can see each value is actually 7 more than the other values. Most likely 1001 is divisible by 7. We can check that. I can just say 1001 divide by 7, and if I press Ctrl Enter, it will give me the value, that is 143. It's an integer value, that means 1001 is divisible by 7. So it checked each and every value whether it is divisible by 7 or not. And you can see we had 1286 values that were divisible by 7 between 1000 and 2000. Let's take this example. Find the integers that are divisible by 6 and 14 between 10,000 and 40,000. Now we'll use another method of finding whether it is divisible or not, and that function is, or that is, there's an operator called modulus. So if I say 14 and this division sign 2 times and I write 2, if I press Ctrl Enter, it will give me the remainder value. It will divide 14 by 2 and it will show me the remainder value. This is called as a modulus. Now I can use that also in our if, and we can find whether it is divisible by 6 or not. For that I'll say, I don't need to create a separate vector 10,000 to 40,000. I can directly write it in my for. I'll say for I in 10,000 to 40,000, and then I open my curly bracket, press enter, and I have if my I modulus 6 is equal to 0. If it is divisible by 6, I want to check whether it is divisible by both 6 and 14. So first I will check whether it is divisible by 6, and if it is, then go inside. And inside, then again I'll have an if statement where I'll say I divisible by 14 is also equal to 0. Again I am comparing, that is why double equal to. And I'll open another bracket and press enter. You will see as we open bracket, we'll have our close brackets also. So this is something that RStudio does directly. Okay. So we don't have to worry about how many brackets we have opened and how many brackets we have closed. So if the remainder is 0 when I divide by 6, and if the remainder is 0 when I divide by 14, then I would want that I. So I will make a vector here. I will say, just write D. I want it to be null. And here I will take that my D must be equal to previously taken a D, all the D values that we had, comma, then add this I value. Else do nothing. Okay, so we have for, and then we have if statement, then we have another if statement, and then we have our value. So let's check. I will just press Ctrl Enter, and we are getting the values. We have 714 values that are divisible by 6 as well as 14 between 10,000 and 40,000. So this is how we can use our for loop, where we know that how many times we are going to run this loop. So we had a specific number of times. Here it was between 10,000 and 40,000. Rather it is, I think, 30,001 times, because first value it took as 10,000 and the last value was 40,000. So these are inclusive values. Here we made a sequence separately. You could make it any different way. Previously we had a random sequence, so we just want a particular sequence, but we know how many times are we going to run this for loop in each of these times. When we do not know that how many times do we have to run it, then we will be using while loops. So in the next video I will be showing you how to use while loops for the same type of questions. So let's end it here and see you in the next video.